Welcome to Mocha Girl's Pit Stop TV, where women of color refuel on motivation and ignite their lives. I'm your host, Terry Lomax, and today we have a very special guest with us. She is a trailblazer, she's a student, she is a businesswoman, she is a social activist, she is a free spirit, but most importantly, she is an overcomer and a Mocha Girl on a mission. Hazel, welcome to the show, Mama.
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Of course, you're welcome, Hazel. Thank you for being here. I just want to start off and ask you why a girl on a mission, which is a woman who's living dynamically in the face of adversity. Tell us.
One more time, I couldn't hear your question.
It's okay, girl. We having my computer was having all kind of technical difficulties today, but it's okay. Why are you a Mocha Girl on a mission? And that is a woman who lives dynamically in the face of adversity.
I feel that I feel like this definitely defines me to a T, just because my whole life surrounds the grind, like going to school full time, doing a full-time internship that's unpaid, still being able to balance a business, still being able to balance social and family life. It's very difficult. And you know, talking to other females and women and queens and learning like what they go through, it's really hard for us to balance certain things. So when I can do it to a certain extent and still have like leverage and be balanced, I think that in itself is just like, it's sometimes I can't believe how I've done it. Like, it's just so crazy to me, but I just have to give all my thanks to God, because honestly, I know it's not me by myself. I just know it can be.
Right. It's so amazing. So you're a student right now. You run your business, right? We're going to get into that later about exactly what that is and why you started. But you're a student, you run your business, and then you still have to manage like your personal and social life. And what else do you have on your plate right now? What else are you doing?
So right now I attend school in New York City, and my home, like where my family is in Maryland. My business is also based half in Maryland, half in New York, so I'm often traveling back and forth. I am just in the process of transitioning, so I'm about to graduate from graduate school in 3 weeks, and so now I feel like, I know, thank you. Now I feel like I have the time to really do everything that I want to do. I'm looking to start my own podcast / like web show soon. I want to expand so my brand that I have isn't just a clothing line. I want it to be a complete movement. So that being like community service, doing things, implementing activities and programs in schools, like a lot of things like that. So I want to expand, but that in itself is really layered.
Talk about these challenges, because I feel like no matter what background you come from, no matter how much money you have in the bank, no matter where where you are in life, like we all have challenges. And I know when we were in school together at Salisbury in Maryland, I remember us having a conversation and you told me a story about your dad, and I was just like totally floored. Like I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Can you just talk a little bit about that? I know that was probably one of the toughest experiences that you've had to experience. So can you just kind of talk about first, like who called you and gave you the news, what happened, and then we'll dive into how you overcame that.
Okay, so back in 2013, 2 weeks before my 21st birthday, I was working at a hotel in Maryland, the Wyndham Hotel at the National Harbor. And, you know, that was just my everyday type of life. I was doing my summer job, saving money for school, preparing for my senior year at Salisbury University. And it was really weird because the day that it happened, I was just so sad for no reason. And I didn't know why I was sad, but for some reason I was really sad. And if anybody knows me, like I'm not the type of person to be upset or be sad at all. So it was just weird that whole day. So I remember I worked, I think the 7 to 11 shift. No, I lied. I forgot. But I got off at 11 at night. And I remember driving home. I called one of my best friends, and I remember telling her, like, I don't know what's going on with me, but I just feel really sad. And I just remember Dear Mama came on the radio, and I just started crying, and I just did not know why. So driving home, maybe it was like a 15-minute drive, finally got home. And usually when I get home, my mom's home, my dad's home, my brothers are home, everybody's home. But for some reason, nobody was home. Now to come to think about it, my brothers, I have 6 brothers. So one of my brothers that's older than me, and then another brother that's under me. And then the younger ones, they went to Pennsylvania to visit family. So when I came home, the house was completely empty, which was so weird to me because my house is rarely ever empty. So once I came in, I wasn't crying anymore, but I received a phone call. No, that's not what happened. My mom came in, and she just looked, I just knew something was wrong with her. She just looked like she had been crying, like she was really upset. And, she just flat out told me, like, your dad was murdered. She went down the line. She said, your dad got stabbed while he was at work. And, I just came from the hospital. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. And so, that's when I just broke down. And I just remember being so upset. And then, like, family members were coming over. So granted, I got off of work at 11. I got home like around 11:30. And then, when my mom came home, it was like midnight. So, like, family were coming over throughout the night, like 1, 2, 3 o'clock. And then my older brother came home and he got the news. And, it was just pretty crazy. And like I said, that was right before senior year. So at that time, I was a resident assistant. And, they have training before school starts. So training just happened to be like the week after. Yeah. So I had to make a decision of if I was even going back to school or, if I was going to miss that training or whatever the case was. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to miss training. They told me that if I missed training, I wasn't going to be able to be a RA. So I just had to make a really big decision because in order for me to even afford school, I had to be a RA. I had to do that. So, I really just had to sit down and talk with my mom. I wanted to be there for her. I wanted to be there for my brothers. And because I'm West African, a lot of the funeral process was very traditional. It was, we couldn't wear colors. The first week, straight black. There were like different family members coming over, bringing like drinks and food. I just never seen my mom so upset. So it was just like my whole world just like turned upside down. It was such a crazy period in my life. And having just to go back to a school that I didn't like, number one. And then, with that, it was just really hard just because I knew like I was at Salisbury by myself. The training of RA, nobody's on campus except for other RAs. I wasn't really in the mood to talk about it at that time, but I had to be happy at those trainings and act like I was interested, and my mind was not even there. And at the same time, I kind of felt resentful because it was just like my dad just was murdered. Like, how are you guys giving me an ultimatum telling me if I don't come to this training, I'm not going to be able to be an RA? So I had to really make that tough decision and do it. And luckily, I pulled through. I graduated from Salisbury University on time. My mom was really proud of me. I know my dad would have been super proud of me. But at that time, I just didn't know if I wanted to go back to school. And my older brother, who was enrolled in school at Fairmount University in West Virginia, he actually didn't go back. So, and he's never returned since. So it's been really hard for him, and just dealing with that. And they never found out who did it 100%, but we did have suspects. And for like the last 2-3 years, it's only been 3.5 years. We've been going back and forth to the courts, with the person who they think it is. And they just review the tape. They show the tape, what happened. They show him getting stabbed. And sometimes like that just plays in my mind. So it was just really hard for me to overcome. Yeah.
That is so tough, Hazel. And I know, I don't think that, because I know what it's like to lose, like a loved one and a parent, not under those circumstances. I think that presents a totally different, like, healing process when someone actually I'm getting teary-eyed now, like, takes your loved one away from you.
Yeah.
How would you say I don't even want to say like overcame, because I feel like it's a continuous process. Like we have our moments where some days you're like, thinking about it, but how did you like find the motivation to keep going, to keep pushing? Because it's so easy, especially under those circumstances. You had every excuse in the book to be like, hey, I'm done. I tried, this happens and I'm not going to keep pushing. How did you find the courage and the motivation to keep going after that?
Yeah, it was really tough. I can't lie. And I think what helped me partially was because naturally I'm a let's look on the brighter side type of person. So even though I lost my father, I was kind of looking at it like I have 6 other siblings, younger siblings. The younger one at that time was only 4 years old. So he was a baby. So it was like I have to be there for my siblings. I have to be there for my mom. Just different transitions. A lot of things were like in my dad's name and my mom had to like transfer. It was just a lot. With my mom not being from this country, my father also not being from this country, it's very difficult for her to navigate and do certain things. And because I was born in America, it's kind of like up to me to make sure that things go right. And especially in our culture, they look for women to do certain things. Like even at like the funeral and things like that, people were telling me like, you can't be sad, you can't be upset, you have to push through this because you have people that are literally like that are literally like depending on you to be strong. If you're not strong, your mom sees you crying all the time, she's gonna be like a wreck. So it was that, and then another aspect was like who my dad was as a person. Everybody always says like you are your dad. Like he was an eccentric being. Like he always wore bright clothes like me. He always he was like a philanthropist in his own way. Like everything that I do, he literally did, or like is very similar to how I do things. And like he just always had like certain quotes to live by in life. He had a really difficult life. He originally was from Liberia, during the war and things like that. If you've ever seen that movie, I forget the name of it, but with Idris Elba and the younger boy, they're in Africa and he gets separated. So yeah, my dad was an orphan. He got separated in Liberia and had to move to Ghana. And so he didn't have family, he didn't have any sisters or brothers, anything like that. And for him to be able to move to a completely different country, and from moving from Ghana and then moving to America and figuring out and how to navigate and things like that, and he still was successful, it's just like I don't have any excuse to not do what I have to do, because this man literally lost his whole family, his mom, his dad, his brothers. He doesn't have any identity to his original country. So it's just like, not that me losing my dad should be downplayed, but it's just like people are going through much worse, and I should use this to better myself and better others. So that's been pretty much my passion of kind of like overcoming this, so to say.
Amazing. That's amazing, Hazel. And speaking of identity and culture, I definitely want to touch on just Blackness and celebrating dark skin, and particularly just because I feel like you represent so well for our dark skinned sisters who are absolutely beautiful. And I feel like, society, as we already know, I feel like they really shade dark skinned women, and they, we have this whole team light skin, team dark skin stuff, which I absolutely dislike. And I think that it's just all about, our melanin and just being Black and just celebrating our culture in general. As you can see, we got the Mocha girls back here, and we got our dark skinned sister over here. Yes, because it's important to celebrate, all of our shades. So talk a little bit about your, like, just what made you, cause I don't, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't always this way. What made you like come out and just really embrace your dark skin and also kind of share that love for your own skin with your sisters, like with our sisters? What made you do that? I think it's beautiful.
Like you said, it wasn't always this way. It was a process. Being that my family raised me and my siblings to be very cultured, and in our homes, our dark skin was celebrated all the time. But at school, especially in elementary and middle school, even in some of high school, it wasn't really something that was celebrated. Like, it was mostly, oh, African booty scratcher, you're too black, you know, things like that. So it kind of, you want to be accepted by your peers. So, you know, it's cool if your parents are accepting you at home, but as a kid, during those vital moments, you want to be accepted by your peers. And when you're not, you tend to kind of feel whatever, it motivates you in a bad way to feel how they want you to feel. So, you know, a lot of times in elementary school, there's one specific story that I remember. There was a group of girls. Most of them were like light skin, pretty hair. And my mother used to send me and my brothers to school like straight church clothes. So it was already embarrassing in that aspect, because it was just like, why are we going to school in like dresses and button ups and like church clothes? So I always just got picked on. So there was this one group of light skinned, lighter women, and they used to bully me, like, to the point where like I really did not like how I was. And you know, it's common for some women in African culture to bleach skin, and like I definitely used to think about it as a child. I didn't really know how it went, but like I would read the back of like bleaching, like actual bleach, but I just didn't know if it was safe for me to do. But just the fact that I had those thoughts, and looking back at it now, it just shows you how like self-hating it can be. And it's not even just like darker women. Everybody has their struggle, which I'm learning now, which I just think is so crazy, and it's so important to embrace and love yourself. But to answer your question, as I started to get older, I started to find that I had a sense of humor. So I used to just make fun of myself, like, yeah, I'm black, blah, 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 and that's how I got the name Blachaz. I just started to embrace who I was, and people enjoyed my jokes, and they enjoyed, you know, like the little whatevers I would do. I used to do like voiceovers and things like that. So people started to like me for those things. So they didn't really talk too much about me being dark skinned. And after a while, I just noticed, like, why am I even tripping? Like, why is this an issue? Mm-hmm. So that just became who I was, and I just started embracing it and embracing it and embracing it. And towards the middle school, kind of high school era, that's when, you know, the brighter colors were out, the neons and the yellows, and, oh, you can't wear that, you're dark skinned. And so I used to combat that with just wearing that. Like, I just used to wear bright clothes. Nobody should tell me like, oh, you're too dark, you can't wear that. And so after a while, people started being like, oh, you look nice, I like this color on you. And that just really made me like love my skin more. So it was a process. And I thank my process, because had it not been for that, I might not be such an advocate for it right now. So,
yep. That's deep. And just to kind of transition into your movement, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, where did that even come from? Because I feel like one day I was just on social media and I was like, oh snap, what is Hazel doing? This is so cool. So where did that even come from? Fist up, afros out?
Oh, see, right now I don't have my afro in, but give me like 10 minutes.
Right, girl, I have to find a button.
But so one thing about me is I'm able to like catch vibes. I'm able to catch energy, and for some reason I feel like God literally sends me messages, like literally. And growing up, I never, like, you would be in church and people would be saying things like that, like, you ain't getting no messages from God, stop lying. Like, no, but now that I'm older, it's an inner voice that literally speaks to me as far as like how I should be moving. And I do a lot of like praying and meditating. So I don't know, but one day I was at work and it just popped into my head. I have a notepad by me all the time when I'm at work, and I usually like take like little notes and little ideas that pop into my head. But then the phrase "fist up, afros out" popped into my head.
Wow.
And another phrase popped into my head. So originally it was supposed to be a clothing line that had different messages. So there were 2 messages that I got. I'm not going to share the other one just yet because I'm not sure if I want to release that eventually.
I got you. Top secret.
So, you know, that phrase came into my head and I kind of sat on it for a couple of days. Like, what does this mean? What am I supposed to do with this? So then maybe like a week later, a t-shirt popped into my head. Like, Hazel, why don't you make it on a t-shirt? And I've always had the struggle of how can I combine my creative like interest with my social work degree and aspect, because now I'm getting to the point where I have to start looking for a career. So I was just like, Hazel, you can really start making t-shirts and you can spread the word of social justice while raising awareness, and this can just be the beginning. So I never could imagine, it's only been up for like 6 to 7 months. I never imagined it like going this way at all. But now that it has, my whole vision of combining my creative skills with my social work has just been open.
Yeah.
I just feel like I can do so much. And I like the fact that I'm able to raise awareness through clothing, because a lot of people take in information differently. You know, it's not every time they're going to read a book or watch the news.
Exactly.
Or anything like that. And I feel like for me that's really representative of me, and I'm able to share that with people. So that's how it came up, an epiphany, literally. Like it just popped into my head. I kind of said, let me do a trial and error, and it worked. So
what does it mean to you? Like when someone sees that, what do you want them to get from that message? Because I love your logo and everything, and I need to order my shirt too. I didn't forget about you. I'm gonna order my gear, but what does it mean, Fist Up, Afros Out?
Okay, so Fist Up, Afros Out, to me, I actually have a documentary where I explain this, so you can also go on YouTube and check it out. If you just type in Fist Up, Afros Out, it'll be the first video up. But initially, when you read it, most people say, Hazel, this is controversial. Are you sure you want to share this with the world? Are you sure this is how you want to deliver? But I think it's important that when you do have something like that, you have to have an explanation behind it. And I also believe that nothing successful has not been controversial at some point in time. So I think it's good in that sense. But to me, Fist Up, Afros Out, a fist represents unity to me. So everybody together, and that's the message that I want to share. You know, in this time where the nation is so divided, not even just the nation, but the world is so divided, I feel that the world just really needs to come together and just love each other. So, you know, the fist represents unity. It's been used by the Black Panthers. It's also been used in other cultures, which a lot of people may not know, in different countries and things. But I just think it's interesting that this one symbol represents the same thing universally. So that was that. And then Fist Up, well, that's the Fist Up portion. The Afros Out portion is kind of abstract for me. So the Afro for me represents freedom, being able to be who you are. They always say that an Afro defies gravity. So like, I think when you're able to defy gravity, be free and liberated, I feel that in your own way, you don't have to be liberated in a cookie cutter, I want to be Erykah Badu way. It can be anything. So granted, this is a way for us to feel united as a people and to feel prideful in who we are. But at the same time, I often try to highlight a lot of people from different races always contact me, like Asians, Hispanics, even sometimes Caucasian people. Like, would you be offended if I wore your shirt? And I share my message with them. And I let them know, I just want everybody to love each other. You know, granted, there is a lot of dialogue that follows that. There should be a lot of dialogue behind discussing us loving each other. But at the end of the day, what I would like to see is everybody loving each other. I think that everybody should be free on who they are and liberated. So, of course, I wouldn't be offended if you wore the shirt. But you just have to be able to explain what it means to somebody else. Because, like I said, face value, a lot of people may look at it like, you can't wear that.
Exactly. What you doing? Why you got that shirt on? Oh, wow. That's amazing. And I want to ask you, as a follow-up, what advice do you have for another Mocha girl who may be interested in starting her own t-shirt company? Any first steps on like starting her company? What should she do?
It's definitely trial and error. As I said, it's only been like 6 to 7 months, so I'm still learning myself. Now that I'm done with this whole grad school process, I feel like I can commit my time to it. Oh, excuse me. I feel like I can totally commit my time to it. But as far as starting off, it depends on where she wants to approach. Mm-hmm. For me, I want to spread the word. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my allergies. I want to spread the word globally, so you have to find a way to interest people globally. Luckily, in my case, I have a younger brother that is. Excuse me. I have a younger brother that's like into marketing and branding and things like that, and he mentors me when I'm doing something that he feels that I could be sharing my message more. He mentors me, so he helped me find ways to attract more people to my message. So, for example, what I would do is I would post a picture of my t-shirts, and I would tag people that I would think would be interested in it. So there are a lot of blogs out there that support unity or things like that. I'll tag them. There's certain celebrities that are also like advocates of uniting people, and I'll tag them in it. And so they might like it. A lot of times they repost it. A lot of times, you know, if you go to somebody's tag pictures, you can see who tagged them and things. A lot of people just might come across it. And I've learned with that, your following grows. And the more people that you have following you, the more people that can see your work. Exactly. So for me, I feel like that's step one. Also, a very, very, very big thing is getting a trustworthy manufacturing company. Starting off, I had a really bad experience with the manufacturing company. Like I had to go to court and everything for it. It was really bad. But I really thank God that I was able to bounce back and just get on the ball, because that whole situation could have just ruined my line, like as we know it. I just finished the last court date for that like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, so you just have to make sure you have a manufacturing company that you're able to communicate with at all times. There was another thing. Funding is such a big thing. And like I said, I didn't have any direct direction when I created this. I didn't know that I would even still be continuing along this far. And so in order to produce these t-shirts, and in order to sponsor these events, and in order to say you're going to implement your programs into an institution, you have to have money. Mm-hmm. So like when I started out, I had refund checks. So I took out loans to be able to go to graduate school. I just sacrificed and said, let me take out an extra $3,000. Let me take out an extra $2,000 so I'm able to pay for these things. And sometimes I didn't even know where I was going to get my money from. Like sometimes it would be like, all right, Hazel, are you eating this week, or are you buying more t-shirts? And what I've learned is when you're really passionate about something and God gives you an assignment, you're going to do what you have to do. It was some weeks I didn't know if I was going to eat, but I would just be like, let me just get these t-shirts. God didn't give me this message for no reason. I would go out and get t-shirts, and from some miraculous way, like I would get money from some other place. Like, I also write papers. So people would come to me like, hey, can you write a paper for me this week? And then, that would be my money for the week. So it just always, wherever I thought that I would be lacking at, it was just always a way, that it would just always work itself out. So definitely funding, gaining a following, and just being very passionate about your craft. I think
that's amazing, Hazel. Thank you so much. That's so awesome. And what's next for you? Let's figure out what's next. What do you have planned?
So what's next for me? Like I said, I'm graduating in a couple weeks. So right now I'm currently looking for a job. I really wish that I was in the position to work at this full time, but right now I am not. So I think I'm going to start working for a year. I'm actually moving from New York. I'll be moving back home to Maryland just so that I can really have my focus, live with my mom for free, and stack money and be able to figure out which way I want to approach life. But in the meantime, like I said, I'm trying to start my podcast slash web series show. I just want to toy with a lot of my creative ideas that I have that I wasn't able to do because of school. So right now, it really can go any way, but I'm just excited to finally start. Like, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And congratulations on you for your graduation. You graduated and getting your master's degree and just overcoming, Hazel. I mean, seriously, kudos to you for, you know, not letting your adversity hold you back and for letting it propel you forward. And I know that you're people to thank you, Blachaz. And if you can just share with everyone, where can they find you on social media so that they can follow you and get their fists up, Afros out gear?
Woo-hoo.
Yes.
Okay, so my Tumblr, my Instagram, and my Snapchat are all the same name. It's BLACHAZ3, and my Twitter is Damn She Black. You know, I'm embracing my blackness now. And you spell that ZAAYN_She Black.
I will add links below so that you all can follow Blachaz. Thank you so much, Mama, for taking the time to chat with us on Mocha Girls TV. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe to Mocha Girls Pit Stop so that you can get updates on amazing interviews like this one with Hazel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.